Here in video number 16, we'll try to make a code machine. And a code machine, those of you that have seen movies back from World War II, you know, when they had to send secret messages from one country to another out to the military, they would code their messages. And the way they did it was they used a machine like this one you see here on the picture. You can see down in front, it has a lot of different holes and cables, and they will simply kind of rewire a typewriter. So every time you would type on a B letter, for instance, then down in front, they would connect the B to a X or something else. So it would write X instead of B. And that means when they were writing a full letter like this on this typewriter, it would come out as nonsense and nobody could understand it. That was kind of the coding machines. But if you, as receiver, knew that each letter in this message here had to be converted to something else, then you could actually bring it back to text that made sense. And that's what we will try to do here. We will try to make a simple code machine.
Hey and welcome here. I'm Torkild Brunsnes, and this is Python Learning by Doing. I strongly believe that learning by doing, that's the way that works the best. It is for me, I can tell you. So try to follow this, these chapters here and do what I'm showing on the screen. Follow it on your own computer. And when you have gone through all the different chapters, I promise you, you will be an excellent programmer. Well, let's grab a cup of coffee and then let's just get going.
Okay, so first let's agree upon the rules for how this coding machine is supposed to work. And what I have defined here is that we say vowels will be translated to the letter X. So for instance, cheese will become CHXXSX. So that's the rules. To create this coding machine here, we will use three different things that we have learned and practice them a bit. We will use a function, create a function, and that function within that one, it's a translate function we'll make. And within that one, we will have a loop. And that loop has to go through every letter in a sentence we type in and look for if there are any vowels. And if there are, and here comes an if sentence. So we have a function with a loop, and within the loop we have an if sentence. If there is a vowel, then replace the letter with X. So that's basically what we're going to do. So let's start here by creating the function. That's always the def, and we call it translate. That's our function, and we want to translate a phrase. Okay. And now we have the indentation, and then we say a variable here, translation equals, and we say nothing. So that's when it looks through each word in the phrase, or each character in the phrase, and the translation is by default empty, will do nothing. But if a condition is met that there is a vowel, then we have to take that empty where it does nothing and add an X to it. So that's what we're going to use that variable for. And then we say within that here, we now make a loop. So we say for letter in phrase. For every letter in the phrase here. 4-letter in phrase. We want an if sentence looking for vowels. So we say if letter in, and then we make a string here. And now we have to do A, E, I, O, U. I think that's all of them, isn't it? And then we can have the same ones in capital. A, E, I, O, U. So they can exist as both. So if it's within that, if the letter we are looking at is in that text string, then we want it to take the variable up here, translation, and set it to, so we say that variable we now make equal to translation, which you saw up in the default here in the beginning was empty. But now we make it to translation and we say plus X. So now it will take that character, if it finds it within the string there, A, E, I, O, U, then it will make it equal to translation, which was empty, plus the X. So now it adds the X into the text string. And then we can say else. If that's not the case, if it's not in the string, then translation, the variable, has to be equal to translation, which by default was empty, plus letter, the letter itself, for every letter. So we're looking at each letter. And that's what it should do. And then we will say, as a last thing here in our for loop, we want a return statement to close it. You know, that's what ends a for loop. That's a return statement. So the return statement here will simply be return the value of the translation. So that's what comes out of our function. And now we go out of our function. This is the entire function. So the function contains a for loop, an if sentence, and an else if, and then a return statement. And now we just need to print it. So now we say print, and we say we need to call the function translate, and we need to give it an input, because we want to ask for an input here, and in that input we say enter a phrase. And now we need to and we want it with capitals here. Enter a phrase, so it will ask us for a phrase with it, which it runs through the translator. Are we missing anything here? We have all the parentheses. We have 1, 2, 3 starting and 3 closing. So here it will print translate and then enter a phrase. I think we are all good now. So let's try to run this and see if it works. And it says enter. And we can say once there was a little boy. That's the sentence we want to enter. And then say enter to that. And it only gives us a dot. So what is wrong? Oh yeah, here we have the problem. Translation here, if else, should be the translation which was empty plus the letter itself. So it has to be plus, not equal. So I bet now it works. So we will try again. And we will enter once there was a little boy. And enter. And see here, now all the vowels are replaced by X's. So we have a coding machine here.
That concludes this chapter of Python Learning by Doing. Make sure that you follow all the following chapters and go through the entire series. Also make sure to hit both the like and the subscribe buttons, because that would help me to keep creating programs like this. So thank you for doing that. And here after this there will be a link on the screen, and that will be to the next episode in this series of 26 videos. So take another cup of coffee and get ready for the next episode.